What's the creepiest thing someone has ever told you? Find all the secret numbers hidden in the video and post it in the comment with your username to get a chance to win a $50 gift card each month. Well, it started as creepy, but quickly turned alarming and concerning. A teen friend told me her house was haunted by a murdered slave who possessed her and made her hurt herself. Very creepy. But I've always been a history nut and knew my town well. Her house was built in the 1900s and there had been virtually no slaves in town at any point and none at all in that area. It used to be swampland. Not told me but showed me. When I was in middle school, this girl sat by me at the lunch table and showed me that she carved my name into her arm and then went on to tell me she loved me. I had never said anything more than hi while walking by her before that. I worked with a guy recently out of prison for manslaughter. He described it as a murder. Once when I was 11, I was eating a popsicle on the promenade when a homeless man came up to me and whispered in my ear that I have a very sexy mouth. I've never eaten a popsicle or ice cream in public since. I had a coworker tell me I could probably just kill someone and not feel anything about it. Especially if they had it coming, mind you. This was after we got done chatting about his mutually toxic relationship. When I was 19, I broke up with a guy who cheated on me with a 16-year-old. He told me the stress of our breakup had made his brain tumor grow. Spoiler alert. No brain tumor. And 17 years later he's still very much alive. One of my friends was telling me about a really homophobic part of Canada that she lives in. She said when she was around 14, a group of older, cool kids in her school came up to her and pinned her against the wall and proceeded to carve F***GGOT on her back somewhere around her shoulder. She isn't even gay. She just dressed like guys sometimes and wasn't really girly, so they automatically assumed she was gay. People are awful, man. My friend was staying alone at his summer house. After midnight when he went to bed, he heard pool balls hitting each other. There is a pool table in the basement, but nobody was in the house during his stay. A girl in middle school told me she had a hit list. It wasn't exactly a secret, it was literally written on the cover of her binder entitled, People to Kill. I wish I was kidding. A priest used to visit my primary school. Not sure what this is in USA. 5 to 12-year-old. To do confessions. We didn't get to see him as he sat behind a board. All I could see was his shoes. He told me I had been bad and I was going to hell. I can't remember what I did as a child to warrant going to hell. Not the scariest sounding story. But it scared the shit out of 9-year-old me. I was in an argument online a few years ago and had a guy threaten to rape and kill me in front of my entire family just because I disagreed with something in the fandom we were talking about. The strange lady, a retired artist who lived next door to our parents, made a scarecrow for her garden that was the image and likeness of her deceased husband. It even had his clothes on it. She said it not only kept away unwanted critters, but also repelled evil spirits. Oh my God. I totally forgot to kill my boyfriend. Psych ward patient talking about what God voices in her head tell her to do. Still gave me the GTFOs. The why we go to has a boys' locker room and a men's locker room, but the showers are connected with a door so you can cut through. Weird design. One time I was taking a shower after practice and a dude I didn't recognize knew my name. Asked me how the season was going. Then told me to say hi to my grandpa. It doesn't matter if you are married or not, when a man starts thinking with his dick, teacher. Sophomore year I went to a party with some seniors. A middle schooler showed up and told us she had weed. She went to the bathroom and got high and then basically told me she was horny. She was like 12. I left shortly after. You have the kind of eyes that will make an old woman have her husband come up missing for. Wouldn't have been as bad if I wasn't working as a cashier at a grocery store. In high school, around 2005-2006, a girl a year older than me wrote, "Death waits for no one," in my yearbook. She passed away a few years later and I still think about what she wrote. I was sitting on a train in the Bay Area. Gross ass Bart. And some guy dressed in a three-piece suit walks up to me and sits directly across from me. I had my headphones in as we West Coasters don't want to be bothered, and he taps my leg gesturing to ask me something. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're going to have a terrible, terrible life," then got up and walked away. That was 4 years ago, so I'm still waiting for the terrible part to happen. This guy told me he wanted to fuck my eye sockets. So definitely that. Also, this other guy carved his name on my thigh in elementary school. In class. Didn't ask for permission. I bled a lot. With a blade from a sharpener. 8-year-old me did think that was pretty romantic and thought it was our thing. This was stupid on my part. Met up with a guy the first knew from a video game. He gets in my car and the first thing he does is whip out a knife and tell me he likes knives. Knew I would never do that shit again after that. When in school I had a rotation on a psych unit and one of the patients was describing this woman. He saw through the window and how he wanted to kill her and do horrific things to her on the hood of his car. Then he looked at my classmates and said that he would do it to them too. Needless to say, he got to stay on the unit longer because of that. I was staying with my friend, who has a 4-year-old son. She informed me as we were going to bed that sometimes her son sneaks in her room at like 4 a.m. Sits under the bed, and whispers to himself. I slept well that night, ha ha ha. Hasn't happened to me. But a friend of mine got a strange voicemail from an unknown number years ago. On the voicemail, we heard a "help, help" sounded by shuffling and what sounded like someone running. Then the call abruptly ended. We're not sure if it was a hoax or not. It was still creepy to say the least. That he wanted to rape some women that were at the bar. When I laughed because I was so uncomfortable and was hoping he was making a terrible joke. He gave me a death stare and assured me that he was not joking and that he had done it before and would do it again. Back in middle school, a girl asked me if I had a peanut allergy. Being the dumb 7th grader I was, I said no and didn't think much of it. Turns out, she was intending to give someone an allergic reaction. My friend overheard her talking about it and told a teacher before telling me. It's one of those scenarios where it isn't creepy outright, just a little weird without context. But when you know the context, it becomes disturbing. In high school, a boy named David told me he had recently fucked a goat. He wasn't lying or embarrassed in the slightest, if you can be comfortable about admitting that. What kind of even worse shit was he hiding? So this is something my cousin got told. My younger cousin was playing a video game called Rainbow Siege. He took off his headset and looked at me. He then said someone pulled up our address and city. I thought he was joking. But sure enough, I listen in to the guy and he says it. So I put the headset on and asked what's going on. But he just left the chat and that was all. Definitely creepy. He just decided to pull up that info though. Nothing ever happened after that, however. When I was a kid, my friends and I were in the mall food court. A presumably homeless woman approached us. She said that she wanted to talk to us about Jesus and pray with us. She saw that I was eating McDonald's, asked me for some fries, and said, "Jesus is watching." I pushed my tray toward her and my friends and I got the hell out of there. It was actually quite sad to think about later. Met up with this guy from Tinder for the first time. Within 1 hour into conversation, he says, "When I meet someone, in the first 7 minutes, I can tell if I want to be friends with them, in a relationship with them, or want to marry them. And you're definitely someone I would want to marry." There was no second meetup. Once my little brother was standing outside the bathroom door while I was in there. When I came out, he said, and I quote, "I've been waiting for you." I almost screamed. My father killed my mother in front of my little sister, worst date ever. My dad is coming over. There were many reasons this was the wrong time to say that. Think a bit. I'm not the girl they tell creepy things to, but I'm the one who tells them to others. In fact, I remember when I was in elementary school I terrified most of my 5th grade class with stories on the Ouija board. They touched my ass like 5 minutes ago. We were 14. Do you want to play the rape game? It was a joke in a super public place surrounded by friends, but I slipped away and never forgot. I went to visit my boyfriend at the time at his uni halls. Had a nap and woke up to his creepy flatmate standing over me measuring me, and he said, "Yes. You would. Sort of. Air. Fit in a cot." Actually, a friend of mine told me that she and her BFF picked up a dead bird from the street, dissected the heart out and kept it in a jar of alcohol. About a week ago I was talking to a friend while he was absolutely plastered and he kept going on about how he would kiss me. I told him that I wouldn't since we're both in relationships, and then he told me he would do shit with no consent. Kinda sus. I was sitting on some steps to put on my shoes when my 5-year-old granddaughter silently creeped down the steps and whispered in my ear, "Hello?" I nearly had a heart attack because I didn't know anyone was behind me. I was hosting a Super Smash tournament back in college. One guy who entered was chatting with me, and the next sentence came out freakishly monotone. "If we become friends, I want to tell you I am very controlling." Noped right out of that. "Your pheromones smell good." I was a 16-year-old girl. The person saying it was my stepfather. We were alone in the car together on an hour-long drive. That they were a spawn of Satan and I was his test subject. Blocked him right after that. I work in healthcare. I once had a doctor walk up behind me, grab my hair, which I wore in braids or a bun, and tell me, "I bet when someone wants to take you they grab you and take you." I just tried to laugh it off, but I was shocked. Honestly, most of what I hear is pretty incoherent. People don't usually tell me stories. It's more like I listen to them talk out loud to themselves on the bus or whatever. The closest thing I can think of is this one kid who thought the world was going to end soon. He was probably about 10 and under his breath he kept saying, 3.5 more years. Over and over. 1. Some people think incest is wrong. But if it's consensual, I don't see the issue. And I think you are attractive. What do you say? Age 18. Relative was 40 plus. 2. We can make sure no one ever finds you if you come with us. Just put on this dress and pantyhose. Read the Bible. And then pray about it. Age 14. My mom told 8-year-old me about a patient she had who was so high on cocaine that he scooped his eyeball out with a spoon because it was bothering him. My wife's cousin told me my daughters were very hot. He was 31. My children were 5, 6 and 8. When I was 16, I had a male therapist tell me that men can't help feeling attracted to me, because my eyes and lips make me look like I'm aroused. I was speaking to him partly because I had been assaulted by an adult male that year. I was so embarrassed I never told anyone about this, and I am still mad at myself for not saying anything.